it's all about data. I'm gonna try and supersize and splinter off just one little variation of a technique if something's working well, and I get to do it over multiple cities.
For you, studying data, was that something that you started from the beginning, or is that something that, because I learned it by dropping the ball on tracking leads and doing all these things and learning how much money flies out the window. And now I'm obsessed with the data, because the data is really what tells you everything. And it's the biggest thing to keep people from losing money, which is usually from making emotional decisions. And if you trust the data, you really don't have that issue. So talk a little bit about how you use data.
Yeah. So I didn't start out that way. I'm like, hey, I got the money for deals. Everybody's coming to me to get financing. I'm like, and like literally I was one of the nation's authorities on investment funding. So I'm like, I thought I was Spider-Man. I could just shoot webs, grab properties, and everything was cool, right? I was making mistakes, trying to flip stuff, and not paying attention to data analytics. And when I started getting burned, time over time on deals, just because I was being cavalier with my attitude about it, I had to take a pause. I had to swallow a humble pill and be like, okay, where am I going wrong, right? And so I started to look into tracking things more. And the sad part is I have a degree in finance, and I like numbers and I like tracking stuff. But I didn't do that because I knew anything I saw I could fund, right? So that almost hurt me more having access to that. So what happened was I took a breather, dusted myself off a little bit. I'm like, okay, let's take a different approach. And I started tracking everything I do. And now in today's world, and then when these bigger companies hire you, then it like, as I know, and anybody listen, you probably already know when I say this, or you know what I'm going to say, they track everything. They're like, hey, okay, we got 21 of your 30 techniques going right now. This technique closes 5 this month. This one closes 4. This one closes 0. This one closes 7. Hey, now out of all those, in this one here where we closed 5, we also spent the least amount of money. So that's interesting to us, right? Even though it didn't get us the most closings, the least amount of effort, right? So I use their big budgets and hitting their numbers to track everything in multiple cities. Like, Jason, my favorite thing, Nick, Jason, I was highly referred to you. I talked to a client that was closing 2 deals a month and is now closing 12, and they're spending 1/10 of what they spent before. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, that's just unbelievable to me. And I'm like, it's all data driven. It's all tracking. They're like, I just can't believe that. And they're like, and they're using some of your free lead sources. I'm like, yeah. I go, my friend, trust me. I could do a 5-day blueprint and show you 3 days. Pardon my French here, folks. It's just who I am. 3 days of shit that I thought was going to work, that I was like, I went to sleep going, home run. And data tells me 60 days later, I'm like, wow, I'm glad nobody else is in the room, because like I feel like a loser, right? And so it's all about data. I'm gonna try and supersize and splinter off just one little variation of a technique if something's working well. And I get to do it over multiple cities. And my favorite thing that people tell me is this: Jason, my market's saturated. I got so many investors. And I'm like, you mean like New York, Chicago, Dallas, Phoenix, Atlanta, Houston, Los Angeles? And they're like, yeah. I go, okay, we're doing it in 140 plus cities, big and small, saturated or not. When a big company hires me, I don't go, well, I don't know if I can hit 40 because your market's saturated. They don't care. They're like, we're going to drop 50, 60 grand, because that's what the big companies do pay, 50, 60 grand for a blueprint. You're going to train an acquisitions team. You need to win. Like, they don't care if their market's saturated. If that's the market we're doing it in, I have to beat everybody. And I've made it my business to do it. Like everybody listening here, there's free lead sources right now. We'll close you deal after deal that costs you no money. It's just execution. You can go on your phone. There's free apps. Don't quote me on this. I think I'd have to look it up inside my map. When we do a blueprint, it's all built out in the map, so you don't have to remember anything. But fire and water damage, there's apps out there that notify you the moment that happens. Those are unbelievable leads. But I bet everybody that's listening to this right now doesn't have an app on their phone that every time, ding, every single time, ding, ding, my phone goes up, ding, fire damage, water damage. Like it makes a certain noise. And when I teach people at the 2-day blueprint and I show them and they hear the noise during class, like it's funny. the people that we train start saying it like I do. They're like, they hear my phone go off and like, fire damage. They go, you bet your ass, right? And so that's free. I'm just going to contact them first and get those deals. There are so many different ways to grab deals that have nothing to do with vacant list and stacking the lists on top of each other. You should do those things. We talk about those things, but they're just easy deals out there that people miss, that you simply walk by every single day, because no one's put those things in place for you yet.